It is an extremely exciting day in the history of our franchise. I am thrilled to announce today that Steve Yzerman will return to the Detroit Red Wings in the role of Executive Vice President and General Manager.
There is only one piece of news everyone is talking about today. That's the return of Steve Yzerman to the Detroit Red Wings as General Manager. And that's what we're talking about on our special edition of Your Daily Detroit podcast for April 19th, 2019. Although Steve Yzerman never really left, his family has had a home here. He has been in the Tampa Bay Lightning's front office since 2010, first as general manager, then for a season as a senior advisor. Yzerman spent his entire NHL career, that's 22 seasons, with the Red Wings. In that time, he won 3 Stanley Cups while serving as team captain. Yzerman is back, but what does that really mean? And what does the future hold for the team? Joining me to chat about it is Walt Barnes from the In the Box podcast. Welcome, Walt.
Hi, I'm glad to be here.
First, a word from our sponsor. The Daily Detroit podcast is brought to you in part by Milo Digital. Milo Digital is a full-service digital marketing agency that engineers quality results through data and innovative strategies. Learn more at milodetroit.com. All right, Walt, let's get started. Detroit has erupted with elation today. It was like a holiday starting first thing in this morning from that TSN report that this was in fact happening. This had been rumored for a little while. Some people didn't believe it could be happening. How do you feel about it?
Well, I woke up this morning to about 15 text messages from people. Did you see it with like links to articles and like, yay, like everyone's happy. And yeah, like you said, I feel like this is the worst kept secret in hockey that he was coming here because there was an expectation once it was announced, back in September, that he was stepping down from his position as GM with the Tampa Bay Lightning, that he was going to come here. That had been long speculated that he was going to return to Detroit at some point. And one thing that came out of all of that, the initial speculations last year was I never knew that his family never went to Tampa. Like that never, I'm like, that's
a pretty strong leading indicator right there, right?
Oh, your family stayed in Detroit? Yeah, you're probably the plan was probably put in place.
Especially if you're going to choose to stay in Detroit when you've got the option of Florida.
Right.
It's warm down there all the time.
Yeah, it's nice. It's pretty nice down there in the Tampa area. The excitement of everyone and the jubilation, like it's fine, I guess. Like I don't want to steal anyone's joy, but I'm probably gonna.
Ooh, all right, bring it on.
Everyone's acting like, okay, well, Yzerman's GM, it's all better now. Everything's going to change. Well, no.
Well, I was going to get to that because the Red Wings are in a rebuild mode. And one of the things that Yzerman in the press conference said multiple times is that this is going to take time. And if you look at the reaction online, it's pretty intense. Like everything's going to be better next season. And expectations feel really high. How do you feel about that?
I feel like if you have high expectations for this team, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Now, granted, while I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for this team, if things go right, everything goes well for them, they stay healthy. Larkin continues to grow, Bertuzzi continues to grow, Mantha, Anthony Ciu continue to grow. All the young players that we saw this season step up in the last 15 games, if they continue that play, it is not unrealistic for them to think that the Wings could possibly be in the playoffs next season. However, I think playoffs it's attainable in the Eastern Conference right now because I feel like the East is not very deep. It's Eastern Conference is fairly wide open. However, I don't think the Wings, they're just not there yet. They're still missing a couple pieces. Now, granted, and one thing I hope doesn't get lost in all of this is the groundwork that Ken Holland has left for Steve Yzerman to build with. You know, you have Larkin, Mantha, Anthony Ciu, Bertuzzi, you have Zadina. They have the number 6 pick, whoever that may be.
So you feel like they've been on their way up a little bit here.
Yeah, it's not all doom and gloom. It's not all doom. It's, we're not going to be the Ottawa Senators. We're not a dumpster fire right now. And the Wings, they have a ton of draft picks over the next 2 years too, with the moves Ken Holland's made the last couple of years. Coincidentally, after Mr. I passed away, that playoff streak became not as important anymore for this team. And I've always maintained that Ken Holland did what he had to do to keep his job. Mr. I wanted that playoff streak. He was proud of it.
But in a lot of ways, didn't that playoff streak maybe delay this rebuild longer than it should have been?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt it did. I'd be a fool to sit here and say no. I'd be peeing on your leg until you it's raining if I told you no. Sorry for the graphic metaphor
fine.
there, but because people said I heard people all year, they need to tank. They need to tank. Like, well, tanking doesn't matter. If you don't believe me, look at the draft this year. The worst two teams in the league are not picking first 1 and 2. They're picking 4 and 5.
And for people at home who might not know why that is, why is that?
Because of the draft lottery that they do, which the NHL actually tweaked a few years ago, where they gave better odds for the worst team overall, the team that finishes last place, have an 18% chance of winning the number 1 pick. In the last 4 years, it's 50-50. The worst team has won it twice, and it's a 50-50 shot. And actually, the Wings finished 4th worst team. They're picking 6th. They fell 2 spots. Whereas Chicago, who finished with a much better record than the Wings, and were in a playoff hunt until about 2 weeks to go in the season, they're picking 3rd. The Rangers had a better record than the Wings. They're picking 2nd. The Devils finished 2 points lower than Detroit, and they're picking 1. So, I mean, honestly, in the last, you can make the argument since 2010, you have a better chance of winning lottery if Taylor Hall's on your team than you do if you finish last place. Because Taylor Hall, he's been on teams that picked number 1 5 times.
Somebody get that man. So you talked about So you talked about how some of that groundwork has been laid by Ken Holland. One of the things that Yzerman said was that Coach Jeff Blashill is staying for sure. His contract was just extended. It's pretty clear to me from the conference, too, that these people have been in consultation, talking to each other for quite a while. Yzerman had gotten permission. The Red Wings had gotten permission from the owner of the Tampa Bay Lightning to talk to Yzerman. We talk about the things that are staying. What are the kind of changes that you see happening that Yzerman will do going forward? What kind of impact do you think he'll have?
The one thing that Yzerman showed constantly while he was in Tampa was he was loyal to a point to players. And he had no problem trading up, moving veteran guys. He had no problem moving out guys. His biggest trade he made was trading the captain, Marty St. Louis, was back in 2012 when he traded Marty St. Louis. Was it 12 or 14? I can't remember. 14, yeah, 2014. Rangers went to the finals that year. It was an Olympic year. There it is, 2014. He traded Marty St. Louis because there was some discord because St. Louis was not happy that Yzerman didn't pick him to be on Team Canada when Yzerman was a GM of Team Canada for the Olympics that year. And it just kind of went downhill. And he was like, all right, fine. See you later. I'll trade you. And St. Louis, he was arguably the face of the franchise. He also walked away from Vinny LeCavier. He's the all-time leader in pretty much everything that are the Lightning. So he's not afraid to take big risks, and he sticks to his guns a bit. Jonathan Drouin was bitter down there and pretty much demanded a trade because they sent him to the minors, and Yzerman said, "No, I'm not trading you. You're gonna play in the minors," and teams, and he wasn't bullied by teams to make a trade either. When he finally did trade him, it was a trade that made his team better. He got Mikhail Sergachev, a very good young defenseman, who's going to carry that blue line. I mean, we didn't see it a lot this postseason, but different. That's another story for another time. But he's shown that he's not afraid to make the shrewd moves. So that is one thing that I think the fans in Detroit will probably appreciate. But at the same time, he's not going to make a trade for the sake of making a trade.
One thing, as someone who covers downtown Detroit a lot, that I'm excited about is to see that the energy is back with the fans. And I wonder if that's going to translate into sales, because I went to a few games this year, including that massacre with the Montreal Canadiens. That place was empty. It was just difficult to watch. It was something where that spirit just hasn't been there at LCA. I wonder, do you think this will help bring that back?
I think initially, yes. And also, I feel like if Detroit as a city, with the one exception being the Lions, because of the supply versus demand there, Detroit is kind of a front-running team. They're only going to support you if you're winning. Most people aren't going to go out. Like, you have the diehard fans who will go out whenever.
But if you look at the Tigers' attendance, it's anemic. You look at the Pistons' attendance, it's anemic.
Well, Detroit's not a basketball town, so I mean that's.
We can talk about that another time.
Well, yeah, I mean, if the Pistons were better, then if the Pistons had a chance to win a championship, there'd be a lot more people out. But like I said, with the great exception of the Detroit Lions, right? Because it's only 8, you only get 8 home games. With the Red Wings, it's the feeling of, well, they have to play 41 home games. Who's going to be enticed to go see the Red Wings, who everyone knows is bad, on a Tuesday night against Columbus in February?
I mean, to be honest, although I've been a few times over the last couple of years, I haven't paid for a single one of those tickets.
Oh, yep, there,
right?
There you go. Yeah, but I think initially, yeah, you are going to have that excitement, but then it's once they start playing and they get into the doldrums of the season, when you're seeing that they're on the losing streaks. Losing streaks are going to happen with this team, especially if they go the way that I feel Yzerman might want to go, where he's going to want to go younger. You're going to put a lot of inexperienced guys in a lineup. I said I feel like the Eastern Conference is pretty much open, but their division is very top heavy with Toronto, Boston, and Tampa. And you throw the Florida Panthers in there. They just hired Quenneville, so the Panthers they're a good team as well. So they're going to be in tough a bit with their division. However, we'll see what happens. I mean, we're not going to know anything about this hire for about maybe 4 years.
So you say we'll see what happens, but I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
It's bold prediction time. What is your bold prediction? I want to also ask, when is the next Eastern Conference title coming? And can you put a pin on the Stanley Cup?
Okay. All right. Well, so it's kind of all the coincidences that have kind of popped up on 2019, April 19th, 19 comes home, and also Steve Yzerman's first year with the Lightning as GM, they picked 6th in that draft. The Wings are picking 6th this year. So a couple coincidences there. So, just keep it rolling. He got the Lightning to a conference final in year 5. So 5 years.
Okay.
5 years to a conference final. I'll say 6 years for a cup.
You'll think he'll be able to do here what he wasn't able to do in Tampa?
Yeah, why not? You're going bold, right?
Well, yeah.
You're going bold?
Always for bold. Well,
and I think they'll be in the playoffs within 2.
All right, within 2. All right, good to know. Well, Walt, where can people find all your things and follow you into the future? I'm on In the Box. We're through Podcast Detroit. We're on hiatus right now, but we'll be back. We're aiming for late September of 2019. We'll be coming back myself. Right when the season picks back up, right? So you're a seasonal podcast.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, there's talk about hockey in June. Like, there's nothing really to talk about. But so right now we're on hiatus, but we'll be back hopefully into September working on some things. You can follow us at In the Box, Facebook.com/In the Box. It's myself, Thomas Bonadito, and Phil Graves. We are the hosts. I give those boys a shout out. They're awesome. And you can come see me downtown Detroit. I'm a bartender and work in all the cool places. So. Oh, well, then we're definitely going to have to visit you. The next one of these we're doing across a bar. I guarantee it. I work at a wing establishment. We'll go with
okay, a wing establishment
in Greektown.
An excellent wing establishment in Greektown.
Yeah, globally known, right? Like,
well, you are internationally known and known where there's a podcast microphone.
All right. There we go.
Well, thank you, Walt, for coming by to the show. And of course, thanks to you for listening to the Daily Detroit podcast. There is a lot to be excited about in Hockeytown. I hope you enjoyed our conversation with Walt Barnes. It's going to be an interesting next few years. I'm Jer Stays. Take care of each other, and we'll see you around Detroit.
You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information.